third one no Atira, fourth one no Hasika. And I am Engshan with the matric number CB18146. And then I am the presenter for talking about the erosion for Windows and Linux. First one, you can see the first picture showing the Windows 1, which is released in 1985. And then this is not a complete system. This is only a graphical interface in 16-bit environment. The second evolution is Windows 2, released in 1987, which update the function of minimize and maximize window rather than ionizing and zooming. And Word and Excel first appear in this version. And then third one is in Windows 3, released in 1993. It has the ability to run MS-DOS, and this version, it has the ability to run multitasking with a symmetric, which is you can open many windows in the same time. And then this is the first version with the 256 colors. And then after 2 years, a small update with it is Windows 3.1, released in 1992. Update with the True Typeform, and then the small game called Minesweepers, and then it need 1 MB of RAM for mouse controller, which is connected to the mouse. And then Windows 95, released in 1995, start updating in start button and menu, the version the function of plug and play for USB, and then it is 32-bit compared to the version before. This is version before is 16-bit. This is 32-bit, and then Internet Explorer is first appear in this version. And then after 3 years, released Windows 98, the Windows Player 6.2 appear in the second edition of Windows 98 in 1999, and then it update in backward and forward navigation pattern, so you can easily previous to the page that you pressed before, and then update on the address bar in the Explorer, so we can just easily type in the address, and then support all future version of Windows, so we can update from 98 to 2000 in the future for the functionality. And then the next one is Windows ME, is released in 2000. This is it had update important role and update with the function of automated system requirement, and the Internet Explorer update to the version of 5.5 in this Windows ME. And then we other example of apps is updated, such as Windows Player 7 and Windows Movie Maker. And then, but the operating system of the Windows ME is quite buggy and poor. Means that it's got problem on the stability, and this is quite lag lah. And then the next one is Windows 2000. Windows 2000 is the update from the Windows ME, and then the functionality of Microsoft Business Oriented System, it got automatic updating, and the first version that have the function of hibernation. The next one is Windows XP, released in 2001. The update in the most many of update on security features based on Windows NT in 2000. Based on the Windows NT of the Windows 2000. The start menu and task be visual overhauled. You can see from picture the start button and the toolbar change in color. So this is more environment friendly for consumer to use it. And then this is a design version for Windows, and then got the functionality of CD burning, update function of autoplay from CDs. The only problem is security. The security is quite low, and then this is the version that can be easily hacked by the criminal and hackers. And then the next is the Windows Vista, released in 2007. updating in window rendering engine and window error graphic shell. Meaning that it's a big upgrade based on the design, and then which is can review 3D pictures, and then but still buggy. And then PC game is also most PC game is adaptable for this version. The next one is Windows 7 released in 2009, and then this improved the memory management. This is more faster and more stable compared to the Windows before, and then it introduced the new function of which is handwriting recognition, and then the automated window resizing. So we can resize the window with the size we like lah. And then the next one is Windows 8, released in 2012. This version is more focused on the redesign and for start screen and screen into a screen-based desktop in background and touch friendly, because this version is need to apply in the tablet at 2012, and then this is introduce a faster USB 3.0, and then the Windows Store is applied in this version, but still not default for the Windows Store. And then the Windows Store is default when the small update of Windows, which is in Windows 8.1 released in 2003, and then also the update from Microsoft, and then small update for new visual interface, and then reintroduce the start button in this version. And then the last one is Windows 10, which is released in 2014. This is the most stable window for now, until now. And then it is redesigned the toolbar start menu, and also introduced the Cortana voiceover, which is giving the opportunity for people who can't see, who are less accessibility, for example, OKU, who can't see, to use the window easily using Cortana voiceover. And then the Windows Store app is also default in this system. And then when Internet Explorer changed into Microsoft Edge, update into Microsoft Edge is more stable and secure. And then this version is able for keyboard and mouse mode. And then I'm going to talk about the evolution for Linux. For in 1991, Linus Torvalds introduced upgrade the Linux into Linux 0.01 using the binary GON bash cells, but this is not mature and then not a complete version. It is a subset of AT sub hardware, and then it is only got the functionality of for read only. In 1992, the small update by Linus Torvalds into a version of Linux 0.12 GNU General Public using the based on GNU General Public License. This is free distributable Unix clone subnet system V and POSIX, and then is using 2x6/4x6 AT-bus machine, and then using the 386 memory management and touch primitive. And then this version is still for beta, not the real version. In 1994, after 2 years, is released a real version, which is Linux 1.0. After Linus Torvalds judged all components of the kernel, and then using x86 project of the for the GUI interface, and then this version using 176,250 lines of code used in and then this version is mostly used in production environment. And then the next one is 196. Linux 2.0 is introduced. Is the update of serve several processors at the same time using symmetric multiprocessing. Next one is when 2011 is released a new version Linux 3.0. It introduced the this is the only update is the 4 digit to be the version of numbering in Linux 3.0. You can see the picture is Phoenix using the Linux kernel 3.0 version 3.0, and then in 2015 the Linux 4.0 is introduced. uh, this is more update for hardware support, driver improvement, performance tweaks, and bug fix from the version of 3.0. And then you can see from picture this is for him Linux using the Linux kernel version 4.0. The last one is the Linux 5.0 released in 2019. AMD FreeSync display support and improve in Raspberry Pi touchscreen support, BTRFT swap file support, and LT-term data encryption. And then the most uh, apps that can see from is this is a apps that we use, which is from picture is the Ubuntu using the Linux version 5.0. This is all my presentation. I will pass my presentation to my next member. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
How
All
to
right.
mute?
Uh,
Ya, 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 ya. Bagaimana nak mute ah? Kat sini.
presentation. Okay. All right. For memory management, okay. For the Windows 10, there is a working set. Working set is the actively used physical memory of process. When the memory manager decides a page has been inactive for a long time, it puts it at the modified list, which is it undergoes streaming and out swapping. And then an asynchronous process writes pages in the modified list to the page field on disk, and then in memory move them from modified list to the standby list. If the pages on the standby list are not reclaimed, they keep the data until memory manager put them for another processes working set, which is called the soft fault. Soft fault, which means the page still in memory. And then for Linux, which is Ubuntu, Linux use swap as their virtual memory, which is swap meaning that a moving memory pages transaction between physical RAM and hard disk. So the whole partition of hard disk is used for swapping is called swap space, which is allow computer to execute programs and process data file larger than physical memory. There are two forms of swap spaces, which is the swap partition and swap files. The swap partition is an independent section of hard disk for swapping when no other files reside it, so it is faster than swap files. So for the swap file, it's a special file in file system that reside with other system and data files. Next. So as you can see from the picture, next. The cylinder is the next. Okay, the cylinder is the swap space. There is the process called swapping out and swapping in, which is used when the pages that are in the swap space are needed by this physical memory again. They are swapped back into the physical memory. So the next question is any limitation of maximum or minimum memory. So for Windows 10, for 32 bits, it is limited to 4069 MB RAM, which is only given only 4 GB virtual memory, which separate into 2 GB of user space and at a time. For Linux Ubuntu, it is limited to 4069 MB, 69 MB RAM, which is given only 4 GB virtual memory, which separate into 2 GB of user space and at a time. For Windows 64 bits, it is available for only 16 gig for licensing, which is limit on 16 terabyte address space. For Linux 64 bits, use about 50% more memory than their 32-bit counterparts. It uses non-allocated RAM to cache disk, less free memory available, and out of RAM, and the system starts swapping. Next. Okay, so for the normal usage, which is everyday usage by normal window, the better is Windows for normal usage, as it will separate the frequently and non-frequently pages, as it will number of reads and writes to the disk, and improve responsive from operating system, which is memory manager determine which pages should be moved to modified list called trimming. It compress unused pages and reduce amount memory used per process. For server usage, the better is for Linux, which is because Linux use swap as their virtual memory. Like I said before, swap spaces allow computer to execute, program, and process data file larger than physical memory. Okay, so for that, I pass to another member.
Okay, for the process management, so when it comes to process management, when a program is executed, it is broken down into a smaller unit called a process or jobs. So each process acts as a unit of works for processor and share the computer resource like CPU, memory, files, and input-output devices. A multi-processing system has many processes which run together. So how both operating system handle their process management when it comes to many processes request for CPU resource. So for Windows, there are threads that are scheduled for on the basis of the usual factors, which is the availability of resource such as CPUs and memory and physical memory, priority, fairness, and so on. So Windows has long supported multiprocessor system, so threads can be allocated to separate process within a computer. So the picture shows that this is the high level overview from the programmer's perspective, which is the processes tab that show the list of all running process the system, and the list includes the Windows service and the process from the other account. So the next one is for Linux. So because of the Linux is a multi-user system, so meaning different users can be running various programs on the system. So each running instance of a program must be identified uniquely by the kernel. So on every Linux system, many programs want to use the CPUs at the same time, even if you are the only user on the system, and every program needs a certain amount of cycles on the CPU to run. And there may be a time when there are not enough cycles because the CPU is too busy. So the next one is how the operating system affect the various CPU types. So basically, for the Windows, the common things that have been used for the Windows is Intel. So for the Intel and Windows 8.1 is basically is the mainstream support phase, which end to January 9, 2018. And at least until then, they should not only provide security updates and also feature updates. So because of many consumers, most of the consumers get a message will get out of this that the Intel latest CPU is not compatible with all the software. So the next one is for Linux. So the Linux, the most recent one is the Ubuntu. And the Ubuntu 16.04 LTS is the most recent long-term support release, and only the Xenial series is currently certified for use on this device. So basically for the latest one, the Linux it is compatible with the Intel i7 and so on. And the next one is for the normal usage. For the normal usage of the window, and for typically either Windows PC is 0% to 10% is the normal depending on the background process and CPU power. Anything constantly above 10%, you might want to check your task manager. So the picture shows that the Microsoft has improved the task manager since the release of Windows 7. And the server usage or the server environment. For the Windows, the management console on the remote access server, it can be used to generate a usage report for the remote client that are accessing to the server. To generate a usage report for remote clients, we need to enable accounting on the remote access server. So the next one is for the Linux. For the normal usage of Linux, there's a lot of Linux. Security depends on access to file and the right to execute them. And this is managed through user accounts, so the program need a user account in order to work. It is also possible that some features are turned off for some for system account. And the server usage for the Linux, and it should provide platform manageability and flexibility, integration with legacy management and automation infrastructure. And then this will save IT staff time and reduce unplanned downtime compared to non-paid Linux infrastructure that it should be included with the speed image building deployment and page management, and also with the manage individual system from an easy to use web interface. Okay, for the next one is the most efficient one is the Windows, because the Windows has the big advantage over Linux that in the software state, virtually every program is designed from the ground up with the Windows support in mind. So as I mentioned previously, the setup is also often is much simpler affair. So I pass to the next person.
Uh, Question 2C, file management. Next. Question 1. Compare the file management between two OS, that's Windows and Linux. For Windows, the file management is folder is under different drive like C and D, but for Linux it's root on dictionary, and then a general tree for file system for Linux system is mentioned there, root, and then below that etc. bin users temporary and so on. For Linux, everything is file. Dictionary has many files such as printing, printer, mouse, and so on. All the device considered a file. And then, so next. And then question 2, compare the naming convention for Linux and so on Windows. For first one, Linux, file name is considered as /, put a slash for it and then name it in the root dictionary. And some more, second one is null characters, for which is used for terminate, and space are permitted. Then there are a relative small number of file name, and a system consists many only of the uppercase characters, such as read me, it's written as capital letter, and same goes to install news and so on. And then the file name are limited for limited to 14 bits. It's considered to 14 characters, and somehow it should be 255 bits in length for Linux. Next, for Windows, Windows are based in file name that exists in the dictionary or file. It's used backslash or called as bracket and so on. It's divided name and it will save as a hard disk, for example, C or CPAT slash file or server share, something like that. And then next one. Third one is pro and cons, like advantage and disadvantage for the Windows and Linux. First, for Windows, each window file system get a drive letter like C. Normally, our PC will got two hard disks, either C and D. Some are considered got one, but it's big lah, so it's considered just C file. On Windows file system can be FAT16, FAT2, NTFS, and name a few. Recall FAT16 can standard responsible for Windows file that name with 8.5 files name length. And Windows get format X to format the disk. Each window file allocate a table, FAT and VFAT and similar. Then as I mentioned, the drive is multi-file system, for example, C and D. And then next, Linux. Linux is the file multed on a slash, and then other file is multed at slash also, and then arrange a little use MS-DOS and so on. And for hard disk in Linux, it will stated that hard disk part 1, which is represent all the files, and then Linux use makefile system for various specific forms, and then that's all from me. Thank you. I pass it to the next person.
For my part, is the question security management. Next. First of all, what is security management? Security management is the credential of an organization assets, which included documentation, development, and execution of policies and procedures for protecting their assets. Using security management, they can identify threats, categorize assets, and they can control their system. Next. For the first question is user and password authentication and management between Windows and Linux. For Windows, Windows 10, there is several versions of Windows 10 since the first release of the first version. The newest versions of Windows 10 focus more on a passwordless technology, which allows users to use the Hello biometric security system to sign on. As soon as the Hello is enabled, users can log in for Microsoft services on their devices. Some of the Hello features are that users can log in into their OS using face recognition, iris detection, fingerprints, or using PIN. Although the support of this feature, it only depends on user devices for authentication purposes. After collecting the data from their cameras, iris sensor, or fingerprints, and encrypting the data, it will only be stored in the device. For Linux, the users are encouraged to make use of a tool called the name sudo to carry out system administration duties. Sudo allows an authorized user to temporarily elevate their privilege using their own password instead of having to know the password belonging to the root account. Next. Next is the securing kernel for an unauthorized access. For Windows, there is several ways in protecting users from external threat. The one that I will be talking about is core isolation. It provides user with added protection against malware and other attacks by isolating computer processes from the operating system and devices. For Linux, it uses an alternate authentication mechanism that can be easily overlooked by an experienced system administrator. Therefore, it is important to understand and control how users authenticate and gain access to services and applications on the server. Next, for the second question, is how operating system would handle hackers. For Windows 10, inside the core isolation, there is a feature called memory integrity. The memory integrity is a feature of Windows that ensures code running in the Windows kernel is securely designed and trustworthy. It uses hardware virtualization and Hyper-V to protect Windows kernel mode processes from the injection and execution of malicious and unverified code. The integrity of the code that runs on Windows is validated by memory integrity, making Windows resistant to attacks from malicious software. Memory integrity is a powerful security boundary that helps to block any type of malware from an attack. User can also help preventing malicious code from getting access into high security processes in the event of an attack. Next one for Linux. For Linux Ubuntu, it is controlled by SSH access by disabled user. By simply disabling or locking a user password, it will not prevent a user from logging into the server. If they have set up SSH public key authentication, the user can log into the server. If not, they will still be able to gain shell access to the server without the need for any password. That's all for me.
Okay, the question 3. Okay, comparison between two operating system. From the Windows, the developer for the Windows is Microsoft, while the Linux is Canonical. The source model for Windows is licensed, while the Linux is open source. Windows, the security is always need antivirus software since the virus attack and hackers is common in here. For Linux, it does not need antivirus since it is more secure because hackers or viruses cannot break through it easily. Privacy for Windows, Microsoft makes user choose between having privacy or security. For Linux, Ubuntu takes privacy seriously. It does not collect any data from user. For Windows usability, Windows gives user a simple system to operate, but the installation time is long. Linux is complicated to install, but has the ability to complete complex tasks easier. Updates for Windows will begin every time it needed to update Java, and it took a long time to install. For Linux, updates are very easy. Users have full control of updates and can update it anytime. That's all from our group. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone. I like your style presentation. But Shavin, you must improve your slide, not copy paste.
Sir, I don't copy paste.
No, Shavin, you should put in column. It's better,
Okay.
table. If you want to say about the comparison, we need to put in table. It's better. Okay, in terms of security, which one is better? Linux or Windows?
Windows.
Windows,
Why?
because it kalau if Linux they can easily be accessed from outside.
Are you serious? Why?
I'm not clear.
Why? Cepat.
I think Windows is more securely than Linux because it have a more developed software that can protect the user.
Okay, in terms of user friendly, which one?
Windows.
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 Why?
Because it's easy to use and so on.
More function.
It's not too complicated. It can use by everyone, every age. Even a small kid to a senior citizen.
In terms of file management, which one?
File management, I think Windows is easier. But for security means, it's go to Linux.
Okay. For server, which one will you use?
For server,
Yeah,
for server we should use Linux
Linux. Why?
because server won't use by a normal person. For like a kid won't use a server, but a well-known person will use a server, and we should a bit professional in it. So I have to use Linux.
How about Windows Server?
And okay, but from my side, I think Linux is better in management of everything. So,
Okay, for Windows, sometimes they are using Windows Server, sometimes they are using a Linux. The purpose is for the management. Windows is more better in file management, while Linux is simple and easy to access. Okay. Okay, any question?
No.
No.
No,
Okay.
sir.
Do you see the video or read the note?
Yeah.
Please make sure you read the note and see the video. We have another 5 weeks before final exam.
Okay, so
so final channel face to face.
Tak tahu lah lagi. Kata face to face, kamu kena datang UMP.
Tak, saya kejap lagi datang UMP ni.
Oh, ambil barang?
Ambil barang.
Tak tahu. Masih ada yang kata ni. Kena datang UMP untuk